Last week Bitcoin saw a massive dump and there was so much fear in the market. Right now though, Bitcoin and Ethereum are both seeing a massive pump towards the upside. In today's video, I'll explain my brand new trading ideas and I'll explain to you guys what I think is going to happen next on the crypto market. Where everyone is getting extremely bullish again on Bitcoin after the reclaim of this range low, where we obviously have this beautiful range right over here on Bitcoin, I'm still a bit cautious on Bitcoin and I'm not 100% sure yet if this is the actual bottom, okay? So last night we have been seeing a massive pump on some bullish news about the war, but I do still think there's still a possibility that Bitcoin is going to visit lower levels this week. Now there's two reasons in my opinion why I think that's the case. The first reason is the 2-hourly time frame, and then in specific this week to the downside, right? We can see that we have a massive week to the downside over here that was created yesterday during the New York session. When we zoom in on lower price section, we can see that we saw an extremely swift dump over here. Now that is not a problem in my opinion, but after that swift dump, we saw an extremely swift and aggressive V-shaped reversal. Now usually, if price moves this fast and it puts in a wick like we can see on the 2-hourly time frame over here, or like we can see on the 4-hourly time frame over here, we know that these wicks act as a draw on liquidity. Now why is that the case? Because a wick is indicating, like I said, too fast of a price movement. And if price moves this fast, right, then we have to think, does smart money get the time to actually fill their orders? Because those orders are so big that it takes time for the orders to actually get filled. Now if price moves too fast, they don't have that time to fill all of their orders. So what does smart money do? It pushes price back towards that wick to fill it at least for 50%, to then be able to still fill their orders before potentially reversing the price back towards the upside. Now what does this mean? It means that these big wicks, they are a draw on liquidity. So that means that for me, the local draw on liquidity is to the downside potentially over here. Now the second reason why I'm a bit cautious on Bitcoin right over here based on this pump is due to the fact that, yes, I agree guys, this is a clean deviation. But when we look at the timing of this reversal structure, right? What can you do these days with just $1? Not much. But right now we are offering 14 days of access to what I think is the best and also most authentic trading community in the space, Tribe Capital. Now all that you guys need to do is follow the first link in the description of this video down below, fill out your credit card information, no strings attached, you guys can cancel anytime you want, and for just $1 you get 14 days of access to trade signals, live streams, educational PDFs and so much more. I'll catch you guys in the tribe. So we can see that we form a low, a lower high, a lower low, and then a higher high. This reversal structure, as we can see over here with this break of structure, look at the timing of this reversal structure. And now keep in mind one of the core lessons that I have taught you guys. So we can see that the reversal structure took place over here. Now what we can see is that this timing period was the weekend. Now one of the core rules that I've taught you guys is there is two reversal structures or continuation structures that we can never ever trust. It's when they either happen over the weekend, like this one, or if they happen during bank holidays. Now why is that the case? Because smart money is simply not active during the weekends and during bank holidays. And when you get these clean kind of reversal structures, during those time periods, more often than not, they get completely wiped out. Meaning that also the low of this reversal structure is, in my opinion, a draw on liquidity. So we have two draws on liquidity towards the downside. So where everyone is extremely bullish on Bitcoin, I'm actually a little bit cautious. I'm currently short on Bitcoin. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, okay? And I'm underwater. My swing short over here with the stop loss above that high, targeting the low over here, is currently underwater. But it's not over just yet, because currently Bitcoin is mitigating this very important supply area. And now I'm looking for a low time frame trigger on Bitcoin to potentially confirm the reversal. Because what we can see on the 15-minute time frame is that Bitcoin was pumping during Asia over here. That's your alarm. Are you still paying attention? Are you writing down notes? Let me know in the comments down below what educational trading topic I should be making a video on next. Alright. If Bitcoin then consolidates during London, what we often see is that New York reverses to the downside. This is what we call an Asia pump London consolidation, New York reversal. Now that is definitely something I'm potentially watching today on Bitcoin. Now in that case, what I want to see on Bitcoin in order to add another short position to my current short position and to potentially get a reversal is the timing period between our 12, which is right over here, and our 14, which closes right over here. Now, why is that timing period so important to me? Because when we look at the New York session timing statistics on Bitcoin, we can see that around 87% of the New York sessions over here put in the first pivot of the New York session before our 15 starts. Now, this is extremely interesting because 87% is obviously a massive number, meaning that as soon as price makes a new second pivot after our 15 has started, the first pivot of the New York session then has an 87% probability to hold for the rest of the New York session. Now I'm using this to potentially execute shorts today and later this week. Because when we convert it to the current Bitcoin chart, it means that if Bitcoin pushes towards this timing area and it, for example, forms a New York session high, and this is the move to the downside, and this line over here is where our 15 starts. If Bitcoin forms a reversal structure like this and makes a new session low after our 15 starts, then all of a sudden this New York session high that we form has an 87% probability to hold for the rest of the New York session, meaning that a potential New York reversal in that case is highly likely towards the downside. Now this in that case is definitely a trade that I'm willing to take only upon the right confirmations. If I don't get these confirmations, I'm not looking to short more Bitcoin, and I'll just probably get stopped out on my current Bitcoin short where my invalidation is above this high over here. But obviously, as we know, stop losses are part of the game. But my bias on Bitcoin currently is simply bearish. And I need to stick to that bias because at the end of the day, I think that price is always attracted towards liquidity. So if I get these kind of confirmations today on Bitcoin, I'll be looking to add another short position on Bitcoin targeting lower levels. For Ethereum, I'm actually looking at something extremely similar, as you guys can imagine. Also in Ethereum, we're reclaiming the range low of a very pivotal range. Now, a lot of people are extremely bullish after this deviation, but once again, same reasons as for Bitcoin, guys. First of all, we have this massive wick to the downside right over here on Ethereum, which I think is a drawn liquidity. We actually have another wick to the downside right over here on Ethereum as well, which I think is a massive drawn liquidity. And just like for Bitcoin, also for Ethereum, we had this reversal structure over here that took place once again over the weekend, meaning that the low of the reversal structure, aka the weekend low, acts as another drawn liquidity as well, meaning that to me, for Ethereum, the drawn liquidity currently is towards the downside. Now, something that is quite interesting, and this is something that a lot of people forget whenever they look at deviations, right? Whenever you have a deviation like this, below the range, what you often tend to see is that this first deviation below the range is being followed up by a second even bigger deviation or a second smaller deviation. So either a second smaller deviation over here before pushing it towards the upside, or a second bigger deviation before pushing it back towards the upside. Now that is definitely something that I'm currently watching on Ethereum as well. So just like for Bitcoin, also for Ethereum, I'm bearishly biased. I'm not short yet on Ethereum, but this SMT over here is quite interesting because where Ethereum is forming a lower high over here, Bitcoin at the same time is actually forming a higher high over here. Now, as long as this SMT over here holds, I'll also be looking for short executions on Ethereum during the New York session. Once again, same way as for Bitcoin, that I'm looking to execute this potential short. Only if I get these session confirmations, I'll be looking to execute this short position on Ethereum right over here. So, just like for Bitcoin, what I'll be looking for over here in order to execute shorts today or later this week on Ethereum is for Ethereum to consolidate during London, maybe sweep the high once, maybe sweep the high twice, and then form a reversal structure over here, form a new session low over here once our 15 starts, and that will be my trigger to short Ethereum with my stop loss above that New York session high. And then guys, as I said, I'll be targeting a weakened liquidity towards the downside right over here for a beautiful potential RR of around 6. If you guys enjoy these kind of updates, make sure to smash up the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel, then I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao, ciao!